and welcome to another edition of Foreign Dispatches, the program that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Layo Olarinde. On the program this week, aid agencies warn of weaponized hunger in Gaza. Plus, U.S. President announces plans to send weapons to Ukraine while giving Russia a new deadline to make peace. Rights groups are renewing accusations that food is being weaponized in the war on Gaza. Since the end of May, more than 800 people have reportedly been killed while queuing for food at aid distribution sites run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. This is an organization backed by Israel and the United States.
1 in 3 people in Gaza go entire days without eating, and over 500,000 are already facing famine, according to the World Food Programme. Since the collapse of the ceasefire in mid-March, Israeli forces have intensified attacks, reportedly killing over 58,000 Palestinians and displacing hundreds of thousands more. The destruction of critical infrastructure, including bakeries, fisheries, and water plants, has compounded the humanitarian crisis in the region.
Starvation is spreading. We had a formal IPC report a few weeks ago already, pointing to the entire population being acutely food insecure and 500,000 people in starvation. And since then, certainly, it hasn't gotten better. If anything, it's much worse now. Malnutrition is surging. You might have seen the numbers from UNICEF, 90,000 children now in urgent need of treatment for malnutrition. 1 in 3 people in Gaza go for days without eating. And I mean, I think it's important also to point to the displacement situation. You know, I've said before that, you know, I've met families who've moved maybe 2-3 times. You know, now it's a situation where I meet families who've moved 2-3 times in the past 10 days. They've moved 20 or 30 times. And obviously every time they are able to bring less, and the margins to survive become slimmer.
Aid agencies warn that starvation is becoming a deliberate weapon of war.
There is no doubt that Israel has been systematically using starvation as a weapon of war. I think it's important to remember that prior to October 7th, Israel's occupation of Palestine has also included a complete control over their resources, including water and food. So even prior to October 7th, Palestinians have had a reliance on Israel to receive water for agricultural products and really any sort of life-sustaining ability. After October 7th, Israel deliberately targeted industries, buildings, infrastructure that make up life-sustaining support. So bakeries, fisheries, most notably water desalination plants, which kept most of the potable water in Gaza protected and available. And this was really done intentionally to reduce civilians' capacity to live and especially to remain where they are.
Aid deliveries remain stuck at the border. The US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has taken over distribution, but it's under fire. The GHF has been accused of working with the Israeli military and trapping Palestinians.
The Israeli military is working in tandem with the GHF, and we have seen literally hundreds of Palestinians shot and killed while trying to receive aid. What we essentially have are entrapments disguised as giving aid. We see this military force able to target civilians seeking food, and if they are able to receive it, it's not going to be enough for their family.
Last week, 13 civilians, including 10 children, were killed waiting for food aid.
Every day, we are receiving nearly 20 to 30 targeted people who are coming from GHF distribution center. They came as bodies. They were targeted directly. by snipers in the upper part of the body, and we found a number equal nearly 150 cases for injured patient. This is a usual pattern every day we are facing. This is one of the most catastrophic events that happened for the Palestinian people. They are punished by trying to get their food. They are getting in a trap. This trap will punish them as they try to feed themselves. This is one of the most unhumanitarian and unmoral thing that's happening for the Palestinian people. Even the way that they are dealing with it, it is like someone who's dealing with animals, not with the human beings.
We have seen time and time again the US and the UK diplomatically protect Israel, both at the Security Council and, of course, in domestic policies and politics, to ensure that they can continue what they are doing with complete impunity. The international legal system is really only maintained by political will. We are going to need people, real people in every community, to hold their institutions accountable, to hold corporations accountable, to hold their elected officials accountable, and to hold their institutions of justice accountable. I think we need to see the rule of law reinvigorated to uphold the tenets it was originally intended for. I think we have met the threshold of genocide over and over and over again. We know Israel is violating international law blatantly. We know Israel is using starvation as a tactic of war. And we know that Israel has absolutely no intention of ceasing its operations. The international community has to answer for that. And if we don't, as we've continued to do, then the rules-based order that we know of now will likely dissolve. And what comes in its place will have to be decided by those who are still left standing.
The UN Human Rights Office says it has so far recorded over 850 aid-related killings since the new food distribution sites opened on the 27th of May. Israel denies deliberately targeting aid recipients and says the GHF system provides direct assistance to people who need it, bypassing Hamas interference. The Hamas-Israel war broke out after the Palestinian movement launched an attack on southern Israel on October the 7th, 2023, killing 1,139 people, mostly civilians, and kidnapping over 200 people. In retaliation, Israel conducted a military campaign of airstrikes and ground incursions, killing over 58,000 Palestinians and injuring about 138,000.
And over in Ukraine, Russian forces have continued pounding cities with aerial attacks while making slow gains on the battlefield in the east and south. US President Donald Trump has given Moscow a 50-day ultimatum to agree to a peace deal, voicing fresh frustration as he announced a new NATO-backed military aid package for Kyiv.
As Russia steps up its offensive in Ukraine, July is already shaping up to be one of the deadliest months in years. There's been no respite. More than 230 civilians were killed in June alone. It was the highest monthly toll in 3 years as Russia launched record numbers of drone and missile strikes.
On the 9th of July alone, Russian armed forces launched a record number of long-range drones against Ukraine, 728. July has brought no respite for civilians in Ukraine after June, which, according to our monitoring, saw the highest monthly number of civilian deaths and injuries in 3 years, in fact, since May 2022. There were 232 people killed and 1,343 injured. The devastating physical and psychological impact on civilians of repeated attacks in this and other conflicts cannot be captured by numbers alone. People are having to spend hours sheltering, including in basements, corridors, and available refuges, such as metro stations. Children, older people, and people with disabilities are especially vulnerable to the prolonged stress and disruption of sleep, and in some cases, they're unable to get to shelter.
US President Donald Trump has threatened severe economic penalties if Russia doesn't agree to a peace deal within 50 days.
As you know, we've spent $350 billion approximately on this war with Russia and Ukraine, and would like to see it end. It wasn't my war, it was Biden's war. It's not my war. I'm trying to get you out of it. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. That can be more simple.
Meeting with the NATO Secretary General, he also announced a weapons deal with NATO allies to supply arms to Ukraine, saying Europe will cover the costs.
And we've made a deal today, and I'm going to have Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We're not buying it, but we will manufacture it and they're going to be paying for it.
This is really big. You called me on Thursday that you had taken a decision. And the decision is that you want Ukraine what it needs to have to maintain, to be able to defend itself against Russia, but you do want Europeans to pay for it, which is totally logical. And this is building on the tremendous success of the NATO summit, the 5%, but also the decision to keep Ukraine strong and the decision to increase our defense industrial production. So based on that, that was Europe stepping up. This is again Europeans stepping up. So I've been in contact with many countries. I can tell you that at this moment, Germany massively, but also Finland and Denmark and Sweden and Norway, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Canada, they all want to be part of this. And this is only the first wave. There will be more.
The EU has welcomed the deal, but says the US must share the burden.
We welcome President Trump's announcement to send more weapons to Ukraine, although we would like to see US to share the burden. America and Europe are working together, and if we are working together, this can put the pressure on Putin to negotiate seriously. The only way to get Putin to end this war is to force his hand. And last week also brought some other important commitments. We had the Rome Conference for Reconstruction, and this conference pledged 10 billion euros to help rebuild Ukraine. The message is very clear. Russia's efforts are wasted. Europe is wholly committed to Ukraine.
The deal reportedly includes air defense batteries and interceptor missiles, a major step forward, giving Kyiv a chance to expand protection against Russian ballistic and cruise missiles. 2 rounds of ceasefire talks between Russia and Ukraine took place earlier this year, but no other meetings have been scheduled.
When Foreign Dispatches returns in just a moment, it's double the fun at the 17th National Twins Festival that brings together hundreds of twins and triplets in Argentina. Please join us again. Thanks for staying with us on the program. Despite a recently signed peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, fear and uncertainty still grip the eastern city of Uvira. Tensions remain high as the threat of renewed conflict with the M23 rebel group looms large. Local residents say peace still feels far away.
In Uvira, South Kivu, the mood is tense. Despite a peace deal signed just weeks ago, many fear the M23 rebel group could launch another offensive.
Uvira, c'est une ville qui est en train de vivre un cycle.
We are afraid that if there is no resistance, M23 could reach us here. And since this city is known for resisting, we fear there could be revenge attacks. We want our government to stay alert. to protect us, our properties, and our territory.
According to residents, both sides, the M23 and the DRC army, are still moving troops.
We already had hope, but we don't see any sign of solution, nor even a sign of the return of peace. Instead of things improving, we see both sides deploying their troops, and that puts us in a constant fear that the war will break out again. We, the displaced, already feel traumatized. We are starting to wonder where we are going to, what we are going to eat, how we are going to live.
The peace deal signed in Washington on June the 27th was brokered by the US and Qatar. It gives 30 days to set up a joint security plan, 90 days to withdraw Rwandan troops, and outlines an economic recovery plan. While the peace deal is seen as a turning point, analysts do not believe it will quickly end the fighting because the M23 rebel group says the agreement does not apply to it. The deal has also raised concerns amid accusations that it prioritizes foreign economic gains over long-term peace.
The difference between West Africa, which has been relatively quiet, I mean, there's obviously Islamic and governmental, let's say, conflicts, but in DRC, it's been M23, a Rwandan-backed group that has basically taken over the land, under which you're going to find about $24 trillion of minerals. And in desperation, starting in February, as soon as Trump came into office, Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, he realized that the South Africans leading the mission were incapable of repelling M23 from that area that they'd taken over. So what does that mean? Now Trump, especially Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, think that they can bring in U.S. companies. And the original idea was to bring in U.S. mercenaries, this famous Blackwater group with Eric Prince, who was in touch with Tshisekedi, and that they would then push the M23 out and then take the minerals. So I suspect that's still part of the agenda.
In Kigali, Rwandan President Paul Kagame has defended the agreement, but he questioned the intentions of past peace efforts.
I think some of the players in the region were concerned with the problem. They had in their mind to leverage these resources because they think the resources are very attractive. So therefore they would, like throwing a bait and saying, I'll give you this, I'll give you so you control this, which everybody else in the world needs and may. So I'll give it to you. But those who threw the bait to those who would help in the problem, we're really not looking for a durable solution to their problems or to the problems that affect us in the region. They just wanted to have an advantage over adversaries and give a sweetener to people to say, we'll give you this, please help us deal with M23 and FCM23 or Rwanda as it is perceived, or our enemies. And that then people would just be attracted to that, take it, and address the problem the way the government of Congo saw it. No, but the Trump administration kept looking at a combination of these three matters that need to be addressed: the political, the security, and the economic. While in some other people's minds, it was just economic. You want a deal, you want money, you want minerals, you want please take it, but and save us from these troublemakers.
The region has seen intense fighting this year, with M23 rebels seizing major towns. The United Nations has accused Rwanda of backing the group with thousands of troops, an allegation Kigali denies. Rwanda insists its military presence in eastern DR Congo is a response to the threats from the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, an armed group made up of ethnic Hutu fighters linked to the 1994 Rwandan genocide.
And finally, on the program, on a lighter note, hundreds of twins, fraternal twins and triplets have gathered in northern Argentina for a one-of-a-kind celebration. The small city of Famaillá hosted its annual National Twins Festival, now a global curiosity that attracts pairs from across the country and beyond.
At the Famaillá Historical Theme Park in Tucumán, Argentina, the air was filled with laughter, music, and double vision. This month, over 350 pairs of twins, triplets, and more gathered for the 17th edition of the National Twins Festival.
We say things at the same time without even realizing it. Like I might be thinking of a song and my sister starts singing the same song. Yes, it's true. That always happens to us. Or I'm singing something and she says, I was just thinking of that song.
Contests were held for the most identical pair, best artistic talent, and standout lookalikes. Visitors browsed artisan stalls, enjoyed cultural performances, and posed for a giant group photo to end the day. Now, in its 17th year, the crowd keeps growing every year.
It multiplies us. It allows us to be in two places at once. While it is true that we are two hearts, two individuals, in our feelings we are one. And that is a very special kind of love.
Among attendees were familiar faces like Juan and Miguel, nearly 80 years old, who show up every year dressed as Charlie Chaplin. Years ago, twin brothers, Enrique and his sibling, now the mayor of Famaillá, noticed the high number of twins in their town. They invited others to meet, and the idea took off. Today, twins travel from across Argentina to attend. Even expectant mothers bring ultrasound pictures to celebrate the double joy on the way.
There are twins everywhere in the world, but what's most important is that right here, we show that twins are people that have the kindness and the strength to help carry family and society forward.
The event has also become a boost for tourism. Local officials say hotels fill up, restaurants stay busy, and visitors spend freely, bringing economic benefits to the community. From a spontaneous idea to an international tradition, the National Twins Festival is now a signature event in Argentina's cultural calendar, and the next edition is already in the works for 2023.
And that's the program for today. Remember, our top stories are never far away. You can always catch them on channelstv.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.